Mm. Oh, so good. Oh. Sorry, I was just playing with my hair here. No real reason that I'm playing with my hair. I don't know. He's bald, so I'm playing. This is a really bad joke. All right, I'm Deconverted Man, but you can call me Dan Green, but only if I like you. Otherwise, call me Deconverted Man. Now, Dan Green is not my real name. It's my fake internet name. It's my pen name that I used on the 2 books that I have. Buy my books. Anyways, so we're back. I'm back. You're back as well. This is my back. You're back. I don't know. Whatever. Ryan. Yes, Ryan, the creationist who I encountered and have discovered, and it's all answers in atheism's fault. It's all your fault, Bald Santa. I'm going to keep calling him that with as much love as possible. Maybe I'm not going to keep calling him that. Don't know. I'm a little bit insane. Any rate, so Ryan, back with a video, apparently made because of a video I made where I responded to him, sort of also comments and stuff and whatever. And so because it's kind of directed at me in a way, maybe I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it now and respond to it. And that's what this is going to be. And it's going to be a longer look because his video is long. So this video is probably going to be an hour. Yeah, it's just how it goes, you know. All right, so whoa, here we go. Let's get me hidden here. Here we go. All right, hey, I'm really small. All right, Ryan. Now skip to 1 minute 8 here. Let's go back because it's just like intro. Hi, how's it going? Whatever, blah blah blah. All right.
About what it is, and it goes to this core dilemma between theists and atheists, which is morality. Is there objective morality or subjective morality? And I'll explain real quick.
All right, now. So I knew that was coming, so I watched that little bit, but I haven't watched the rest of the video, so I haven't watched the whole video. Anyways, I watched a piece of the video. So subjective, objective morality. I think it's a false dilemma. I think that actually it's both. Morals are objective and subjective, and really you need to be talking about ethics rather, and there's many ethical systems out there. And excluding ethics from the discussion, I think, really waters it down to some degree. But morals in and of themselves, you can look at them as both objective and subjective. And I'll show you what I mean with my wonderful, amazing MS Paint drawing that I've prepared for you. Okay, so we've got, look at me small here. We've got chess up here. We all know the rules of chess. Some dude... Here's that guy. He made chess at some point in time, and he made up the rules, and then time went by. He's dead now, but he's pretty happy because he made chess. We don't remember who he is, or she or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, Ryan and Dan here. You can tell it's Ryan because he's bald, and you can tell I'm Dan because I've got gray hair, but I have hair, so. I don't know. I'm going to keep harping on that until I think it's not funny anymore. And maybe keep on harping after that because I like to harp, even though I don't know how to play the harp. Anyway, so the rules. Those are objective. The rules to chess are objective because it's like that's the rules. They really are the rules. But also, see, there's this little slash mark that I put there. See, Dan and Ryan could be like, we don't like one of those rules, or maybe we don't like any of those rules. So we say, and we decide together that the new rule is, whatever the bleep the new rule is. And we say, okay, let's play by that new rule. Now, if we both agree to the rule, whatever the rule is, maybe it's that this pawn over here can, once per game, it can teleport to that side. But then it can't do anything else, and his pawn on the other side can teleport. Let's see. Well, it can just disappear, I guess. It can teleport. Well, it can teleport to my side, and then they can't do anything else. And we've agreed that that's the new rule, and that's how that works. And then we can play the game with that new rule. And we're able to play the game as long as we continually agree to the rules of the game. If one of us, cheats and moves the pawn in a way that we didn't agree, the other one's going to say, "Hey, you jerk. How dare you not play by the game rules?" And the other one's like, "Oh, maybe I forgot," or whatever. "Damn, you caught me," or "I was being silly," or whatever. And, if it continues, then the one person's not going to want to play with the other person, and so they're going to walk away. Now, if we translate chess to ethics in reality, and we say, okay, what are the rules of that we're playing by in order to get along with each other, right? So we go, okay, well, great. We've got a set of rules that society that we live in obeys, broadly speaking. Some of these rules are codified into laws, and other ones are social laws, so they're kind of social contract. Whatever. Anyways, you screw it. So some are laws and some are social, right? So, you wave to me, I wave back. That's kind of like a social rule rather than a law. There's nothing that says I have to wave back if you wave to me, but I do it because it's nice. Or you say hi and I say hi back. We kind of do these things, just because that's what we do. I hold open the door for somebody at a store, or I return my shopping cart to the correct place. And those are just social things. They're social norms. They're not legal laws. So, like, nothing is forcing me or compelling me to do it other than I'm doing it because I believe it's the right thing. And so generally we try to treat each other in a way that we're not going to dislike, so that we can continue to exist in the same realm together. And so the problem becomes, if you treat me or I treat you in a way that we don't like, that will lead to conflict, and it might lead to verbal conflict. It might lead to, physical conflict. It might lead to any number of things, but it will, maybe we'll get away from the person or whatever. And so it will result in a community that has people in a disagreement, or at least two people in disagreement. Of course, you have a group of people and a group of people, and they disagree on things, they might wind up fighting. And this happens. That's how wars happen, broadly speaking, is one side says, "Hey, we hate the color blue," and the other side says, "We love the color blue," and they can't come to a compromise, so they fight each other, and they fight until somebody gives up. And then it's like, okay, that one wins, and now we're all going to wear blue. Too bad if you don't like it, I guess. And so we fought each other over what the right way to do things is as humans for as ever, I guess, as long as we've existed, pretty much. Fight over territory, fight over resources, fight over just silly stuff. But yeah. So ethics, there's, like I said, there's a number of ethical systems out there. Utilitarian is one. I'd have to get the list of ethics up here. Systems. You think I would have prepared? You're wrong. Okay, utilitarianism, deontology, meta-ethics, virtue ethics, applied ethics, moral relativism, natural law, justice, normative ethics, social contract theory, other ethical frameworks, egotism, veterinary ethics, and divine command theory. My least favorite of the ethical systems, which I did a whole video on. In fact, I think I've done multiple videos on, and I think I labeled it DCT. So check that one out. There's lots of problems with divine command theory, in my view. The main problem being that you can't negotiate. So, with any other ethical system, hypothetically, you and I, if you have ethical system X and I have ethical system Z, we can still compromise and say, okay, I don't want this to be, but you do, and maybe it doesn't really affect me, so I'm going to let you do it even though I don't want you to do it. And okay, maybe I can give this up for you, and we settle on a compromise. We negotiate. But with divine command theory, if I believe my God has told me to do this thing and not allow anyone else to not do the thing, for example, Muslims, like, hey, you got to be Muslim, or else if you're not Muslim, we're going to tax you or maybe kill you, or both. I don't know, But yeah, so if you're not one of us, you're going to die or we're going to tax you. Well, that's not very fair, but that's what they believe. And they believe God told them that that's the way to go. Now, I don't believe in their God, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give you extra money just because I don't believe in your God, and I don't want to believe in your God or even pretend to believe in your God. And they're like, well, we're going to kill you. And I'm like, I don't think you're going to kill me because I'm actually going to defend myself and kill you first before you kill me, and then we go to war. Or at least, if it's just me fighting a bunch of them, they're going to win, but I'm going to die fighting at least, whatever, So that's not good. That's not good for me as an individual. And what they don't see is as a group, that's not good for them because, well, I mean, it's not necessarily stable. It might be stable, but, is it a good system? I don't know. We can't negotiate, though, because they are convinced that God told them to do this. So if you had a God that said, hey, wear blue clothes on Friday, and you had another God that said, don't wear blue clothes on Friday, and those people are completely convinced that their God told them to do that, well, how can they cooperate? They can't. They cannot negotiate between each other because God can't be questioned. But I don't need to go to a hypothetical. We have real examples of different religions killing each other over what they think God told them. And of course, we have three groups: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all fighting over one spot of land because they think God gave them that spot of land. Although the Christians kind of don't really fight as much as the Jews and the Muslims over that spot of land, but whatever. So they can't negotiate. They can't compromise. And so that's a problem in ethics, because you need to be able to compromise. Sometimes you need subjective morals. And ultimately, your selection of what ethical system that you pick is ultimately subjective. So even once you have the rule set, the selection was subjective. Now you have the rule set. Now it's subjective because your morals are always pointing at those ethics. So that makes them objective in that sense. So what are morals? Are they objective or subjective? Yes, they're both, kind of. Depends on how you view them. But ultimately, if you can't talk about morals, you'd have to talk about the ethical system. The ethical system of divine command theory, that's the objective one. Okay, which one? Well, mine, of course. My God is the real God. All the other gods, they're fake. My God is the real objective system. Great, cool, prove it. Well, I can't. All I can do is appeal to consequence and say, if that's not true, then that really sucks. Well, yeah, it really does suck, but oh well, that's reality for you. It's complicated and it's not easy. It'd be nice if we had the rule set, but then there's other problems. Even if we did have that rule set and it was for sure written in stone and didn't change, if it comes from God, say, well, what's to prevent God from changing its mind and saying, I don't like that rule, never mind. And so yesterday it was really wrong to do this thing, but today it's not. And of course, you have the guys that I can't hope to pronounce dilemma. whatever the guy's name is, the dilemma, is it good because God wills it or whatever? How's that dilemma go? Let's see. Eutropio dilemma. Okay, Google. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, is that it? No. Let's see. Is it good because it is? Yeah. No. That's divine command theory. Yeah, you're through dilemma. Whatever. I can't pronounce his name. You expect me to pronounce names, right? Have you not been watching my stuff? You should know better. Yeah, this guy. How do you say this guy's name? Ethereal P. Oh, fuck your name. Screw your name. Your name is Earth. I'm gonna call him Earthy. Earthy Dilemma. Fuck it. Anyways, so this guy's dilemma. He's like, hey, is it pious because it's loved by God, or is it pious because is it loved by God because it's pious, or is it pious because it's loved by God? So in other words, like, is it good because God said it's good, or is it good because it's just good? Like, which is it? And I don't know. Whatever. So that guy's dilemma pretty much fizzles out, in my view, the idea that God creates objective morals somehow, because God can change its mind. So it's not objective. And also you have the might makes right. Like, why is God the arbiter of right and wrong? Well, because it's God. So what? Why does that make it right? Well, because God says it's right. That's not going to. Well, God is good. Okay, God is good. Sure, maybe. What's good? Like, well, God is. Okay, but no, that's not what makes it good. Like, because it's God? Like, how does that. There's too many questions. Now, granted, this is all a deeper conversation, of course, getting into theology and meta ethics and all that. And some of that's beyond me, and some of it I don't care about. But nonetheless, uh, this is not just between theist and non-theist. This is between theist and theist. Morals being objective or subjective depends upon different theisms as well. And of course, it's not necessarily between theists and non-theists, because plenty of non-theists think that morals are objective. Like me, I kind of think that they're both. I don't think that they're one thing. Morals are both objective and subjective, just depends on how you look at them. But again, well, what about the ethics? Okay, the ethics are subjective in that you have to pick one, and that's subjective to your personal desires, your whims, your culture. You were born in a place where there's lots of Christianity, then more likely you're going to be Christian. And not guaranteed, but more likely. And so then the divine command theory idea that God said to do X, Y, and Z is part of that culture. And so you believe in that as your ethical system because it's everywhere. Why wouldn't you? Of course. I mean, it's what everyone else believes, so why not? And so that's still subjective, though, because if you were born somewhere else, you would pick something else, and ultimately you could decide to say, screw it, I don't want to go along with my culture. I want to be a counterculture person. I don't want to do those things. I want to do something else. Now, part of it might be baked into your personality. That could be the case too. So then it's not subjective, nor is it objective. I don't know what it is. It's just built into you at that point. It's like maybe you have no choice but to lick your hand. Now, is that a moral thing to do? I don't know, but I just did it. Why? I don't know. I thought it was a good example of a weird arbitrary moral that you could have. Is it actually a moral? Don't know. If I say licking a hand is a good thing to do, then I've kind of made it immoral. Now I regret licking my hand because it's all sticky. Yeah! Why did I do that? Wait a minute. Never mind. I better not talk about licking hands on YouTube anymore. Somebody might get an idea of what to do. Anyways, we're not even watching the video. Where did it go? I put it off the screen. Oh, there it is. Let's get back to the video.
So objective morality is God created everything, including the laws and the standards. And in that, he created a moral standard, which is how we know what is a good action or a bad action, or a good thought or a bad thought. It's our conscience, basically. So we know right or wrong, right? We just do. It's weird almost, but you can do something that feels good in the moment and then later on feel bad about it. It happens all the time. That is objective morality from a theist perspective. It means God told you what is right and wrong and then gave you free will so you can choose to break that law, but there are consequences. There's a really great book, Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, which is
Okay, so John Yeager said something weird in chat that might get him banned. Anyways, so we're already talking about God's celestial judgment or lack thereof. All right, and yes, some book. All right, I don't know. Just go on. We'll see where this goes, I guess.
it kind of lays this out in a narrative form, in a fiction story format. But then the opposite story format. But then the opposite is subjective morality. And subjective morality says there is no higher standard, right? Because if there is no God, there is no moral standard. It is really just a preference for each of us. But there are some preferences that we all agree on. And then there are some preferences that are kind of in the gray area. And the example that came up yesterday in my discussion with Answers in Atheism, and I'm going to post that on the channel today, so keep an eye out. He brought up like another culture, like in Islamic culture, there's a lot of female oppression with Islamic females. And the question that I raised was, if you're in that place and you see them doing something that you consider to be immoral, do you intervene?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure what it has to do with proving morals being objective or not, but it depends. Um, the fact of the matter is that if we had been in Nazi Germany during the time that the Nazis were in power, we probably would have gone along with them. And that's a scary, scary thought. It frightens me to my core to think that. Because I'd like to believe that I would stand up and say no. That's what I'd like to believe. I'd like to believe that I have the strength of character and conviction to say no. But I might not. And likelihood is I wouldn't because, well, most people didn't. And the few people that said no got killed. And so some people didn't say no outwardly, but secretly did things that helped out other people. So there are changes in Islam, broadly speaking. There's at least one group that is running a channel I watch where they react to different foods, and their donations that they get, some of it goes to them, I guess, maybe, but they're putting most of it towards this school for girls. You might go, well, what about guys? The guys get an education, men get an education, girls don't. So it's very atypical for them to do that. Now, luckily, they're in a place in their society where they're allowed to do that, but nobody has done it thus far because it just wasn't done. So they've decided to do that. They decided to be proactive and do something that they feel will promote change in the future. And it will happen over time that their society will become more free, but it will take time. Now, their society was free at one point, and then what happened is the religious people got in charge, and suddenly their society wasn't free. It happened very quickly. So that's bad. Now, Judaism has 613 laws, and you live by exactly 0 of them, thankfully. I read through them on my channel, have a playlist of it. They all end with stoning to death. Well, not all of them, most of them do. And they're all pretty much messed up. A lot of them revolve around don't have sex unless you're married, and bizarre consequences if you do that, anyways. Most of them are centered on what happens to women rather than men. Some of them are it's not a good system. You can get punished for wearing mixed fabrics, eating the wrong stuff, working on the Sabbath, which of course we're going to make loopholes around so that we can get around it. All sorts of things that nobody follows, thankfully. And Jews don't follow any of them are hardly at all today either. And some of them say, well, they don't do that because the temple's gone. But I don't, and who knows if the temple was rebuilt, if they would or wouldn't follow those laws. I don't know that they would or want to, because they're very oppressive laws. Plus, stoning to people to death isn't very good, and the rest of the world would be like, we don't like that. So there'd be pressure to not do that. You as an individual might indeed see something wrong with things. And your question might be, where does that notion of wrong come in? Well, that might be ingrained in us due to evolutionary pressure. We see it in primates. There's a video I've played many times with, they have 2 primate monkeys, and they feed one a cucumber and they feed the other a grape, and then the cucumber monkey gets mad and wants the grape. And so this shows a basic understanding of fairness, which plays into morals. So it might be that we recognize, hey, that person's getting mistreated by this person. That's not fair to this person. And nobody's standing up for that person. It's dangerous to be the one that sticks your head up and be like, hey, cut it out. But some brave people do that. Whether I would be one of those people, I don't know. And whether you would be, who knows? Until we're in that situation, we don't know.
And the issue that a lot of atheists will have with subjective morality is they can intervene, but then what they're doing is they're putting their preference over the other person's preference, which kind of seems like it's indicating an objective morality, right?
I don't know about that. I think that it's indicating a desire to do something contrary to what is going on. And this happens. Current modes of beliefs are challenged by people all the time. There's a group, hell, go back to the 80s, early 80s or later 80s, early 90s, when the gays came out, if you will, and suddenly people were faced with this phenomenon that had existed, but nobody really talked about. And there was an idea for a long time that it was a lifestyle choice. What you decide, that's up to you and nobody else's, business. And then it became, well, no, that's probably not quite right. Who would choose to live that way? And doesn't that mean that I can decide to be gay if I want to be? Like, that doesn't really fit. So we kind of modified our belief to be that maybe you're just born gay. And that seems to be kind of right. That seems to be the solution. Maybe not in all cases, but that kind of was the end of that particular discussion. And it was those people that were themselves gay that came out and said, "Hi, I'm gay," that put pressure on the rest of us to change our thinking. It was a minority of people that changed the majority opinion. And well, that's not unusual per se. Well, maybe it is. It's atypical, possibly, but it does happen. So one person saying no to something does happen and can affect change. Now, you might say, well, maybe that's a bad change. Might be. Could be a good change. I don't know. And yeah, this Calicia 789. So Mayans and Aztecs thought human sacrifice was necessary and right. And if you were part of that culture, you probably didn't think twice about it. Right. And yeah, they I don't want to, you might even have been the sacrifice going to be sacrificed, like, yay, I'm going to die for God, But some dude standing there watching the head roll down the stairs was like, do we really need to do that? I don't know. And they might have objected. But their culture isn't around anymore. So maybe cultures that do stuff that doesn't really seem to have any real purpose, maybe their cultures die out. I don't know. The thing is that the ethics and morals that we have evolve with the all of us as a species. And since we are divided in different parts of the world are going to go differently. I went to Japan recently, and I brought this up in my in some video, I don't know, but I said, every bathroom I went to was clean, like insanely clean. They had, most of them had like a little spray thing. And it said, "Hey, spray this on the toilet paper, wipe the seat down, throw it in, and that makes the toilet nice and clean. And then do it afterwards, after you're done." And they had bidets in them, and they all were super clean, all of them. And I'm like, this is awesome. None of them had pee or poo in them. And get back to even at the airport. And then I get back here to the airport in the States, and I go to the bathroom. I'm like, I must be back because there's pee in the toilet, and it's messy, and it smells bad over there. None of them stink. So I'm like, what happened? We missed the memo on keeping our bathrooms clean and tidy. How is it that Japan is able to do it, but we can't? So is that an example of objective morality that we just missed the boat on? I don't know. Maybe. But how do we fix that then? And how do we know what morals are or are not objective? And even if we're going to go with divine command theory, there's problems with that in that it is static. The Bible doesn't really change, although it does have changes over time, but it doesn't address things like, I don't know, TVs. What do we do with that? Doesn't say. What do I do with the computer, the internet, my microphone, earphones, light? What do I do with electricity? What about cars? I don't know. Microwaves, stoves, refrigerators. What do I do about these things in a moral sense? It's up to me, right? Because the Bible doesn't tell me one way or the other. It doesn't cover these things. And maybe that's trivial to some extent, or maybe it really, really matters. So if the Bible doesn't change to adapt to our modern society, and it cannot address problems that we're going to face because of our modern conveniences, then what use is God's morals then, or God's ethics at that point? It gave you some guideline, but it doesn't cover everything. So now what? You're going to have objective morals for these things, but not objective morals for all this other stuff. And as technology and society continues to become more complex and advanced beyond what the Bible covers, there's going to be more and more things that will be subjective. Now, some people say, oh, yeah, that's how I'm going to go back to nature. Screw technology. Be Amish. Okay, have fun. Bye. I won't see you online again. Nothing to prevent you from going and being Amish if you want to. And they have their own culture and their own religion and their own way of doing things. And even some Amish have decided, you know what? Some technology is okay. And it's okay to use some technology. There are different levels of Amish. So, you know, it doesn't really appear to be as objective as you might think. But it might look that way, but that doesn't prove that it is that way.
Right? It's like, well, we each have a preference, but this preference is actually right. It teeters on the objective moral framework, which is a really interesting point, and it ties back to the idea of hell. So just to recap, theists believe objective morality, which is God set the standard. We know right and wrong. It's the same for everyone. It doesn't matter where you are, what time in history it is. It's always the same. But we have free will, so we can choose to break that law or follow it. Atheists say that morality is subjective. It's subjective morality. So each person kind of sets their own preference. There is no real right or wrong. It's just we all agree on some things, right? And the justification, for example, will be morality is wrong because we want to see the human species progress, right?
Well, as I said, I think that it's, my take on it is that morals are both objective and subjective, and it's ethics that are well, they're more set in stone than morals. Ethical systems are written systems, but ultimately those are, I suppose, subjective too. I don't think you can get away from subjectivity even if God's in charge of things. So ultimately, I suppose, you'd have to view it that all things are ultimately subjective, but then there's a framework that we view as objective. And so it's both. It's not one or the other, and not all atheists, again. But I already said that earlier, but I have to say it again because you said it again, so I have to say it again. Stop saying things more than once. It's really annoying when things say, I'm going to say that again. It's more annoying. No, that's not what I said. It's super annoying when some idiot like me says the same thing over and over again. Don't you hate it when somebody says something over and over again? Like an idiot, like me. No, stop it. Okay, back to the video.
And it's detrimental to the human species if we're killing each other. So that's how they'll say subjective morality can have some objective morals, but for the most part, it's just preference. And depending on where you live and what time period you live in, it's to each their own, essentially. Okay, so now back to hell. There are two places. After you die, you leave time, right? We live in a place of time, space, and matter. So after you die, you leave that place. You're no longer bound by time.
Okay, these are his beliefs. Time. Okay. This is a moment in time, and then the next moment in time. Okay. So in order to do anything, there is a sequence of events where things preceded that event and will come after that event. And we call that time. If that's not a thing, then wherever you go, you can't do anything there. If there is no time, there's no when for you to do stuff. So I don't know how that would work.
And then you go to a place that is not bound by time, which by definition is infinity, right? That goofy 8.
Infinity is a concept, and many people say that infinity is not an actual thing, it's just a concept. So you go nowhere. If you go to infinity, so you have no when to go to, and now you have no where to go to. So when you die, you're just gone. That sounds atheist to me, or at least not necessarily atheist, but there's no afterlife in that scenario, which wouldn't be the theistic scenario. But again, perhaps he has ways to make sense of these beliefs that I don't understand.
Looking thing that they make. I don't know how to, that thing. So infinity is a place outside of time. There's no boundaries with regard to time. So you live there forever, right? This word forever. And
Gonna get boring. You'll run out of stuff to do. Now, I guess there'd be new stuff, but like I don't know. I just think he'd run out of stuff to do eventually. I don't know. Maybe maybe there'd always be new stuff to do. I don't know. But okay, sure, whatever.
And in this place, God, the creator, as far as my belief stands, is he created 2 places. Heaven and hell is what they're commonly known as. I would like to refer to them in this thought experiment as where God is and where God is not. So because God is a good God and he gives us free will, what he says is, if you want to follow my moral law and love and believe in me and follow my law and love and be kind and be good.
Okay, so am I to understand then you do not agree with the position that God is omnipresent, which is the idea that omnipresent is everywhere? So correct me if I'm wrong. And I think he'll watch this because he watched my other video. Thanks for doing that. Hi, how's it going? Hi. I just did that for fun. Don't worry about it. I'm like I said earlier, I'm slightly crazy. So sometimes I do weird things. Don't worry about it. I'm going to do it again just because it's funny. Okay, do it back to me. Do it back in your next video. I dare you. Anyway, so God isn't everywhere, which is a common well, I don't know, common. It's a typical. It's something I've encountered mostly with many Christians, that they would assert that God is everywhere. So you've said there's a place where God is, and then a place where God isn't, meaning that God is not omnipresent because there's at least one place where God doesn't exist. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure that's your actual position, so I'm not creating a false position that I'm going to go after or whatever. Okay, that being the case, let's see if I can do MS Paint on this cool thing. All right, let's do. Oh, come on now, come on, MS Paint. You're gonna let me down, aren't you? Yep, MS Paint, you're being stupid. Look, do this. Do it the way I want. Okay, you're not. What the heck? Eh? What the bleep? MS Paint? Oh, jeez. It's being stupid again. Let me get over there. Alright. There we go. Okay, it was having. Come on. Why? Why are you. What the. I think my mouse is broken. There we go. Jeez. It did not want to click on black. All right, so we've got God. This is God for now. You know, he's chilling. He's cool. You know, And he's like, this is the stuff. This is me, and then there's not me. So here's me. You can come here, or you can go over there. All right. And you're like, okay, cool. All right. Those are the choices. I don't know why you didn't create a third or fourth choice, but you created two choices. Or rather, two places that I can be. You can be here with me, or you can be over there. Okay, that's it. No other choice. All right. Couldn't you have created, I don't know, a fourth, another place, or and then another place, and no. I already created two. Okay, whatever. Cool. All right, and then okay, cool. God only made two places, one where he is and one where he isn't. All right. And after I die, or anyone dies for that matter, we're going to go to one place. We're going to either go where God is and be like, all right, cool. Hey, God, how's it going? Cool. Now, when I die, right, according to the Judeo-Christian mythos, first I'm actually judged. And God's like, go to the left or right side of me, and then I go to the place where I'm going to be. Either I go to where God is or I don't. And I don't get to say like, hey God, I didn't know that you existed until just now. And I'd like to get to know you so that I can like see if I want to be with you. Nope, if I didn't believe, I just go to the other place. That's it. I don't get a chance to get to know God or decide to do good things or whatever. None of that matters. Whatever I did doesn't matter. What matters is what I believed during my lifetime. If I believe in God, then I go to the good place. If I believe in God, I go to God. If I don't believe in God, if I don't know God, or if I believe in the wrong God, or whatever, then I'm going to the place without God, and now I'm going to be sad because I'm there and I'm stuck there forever without any chance to be like, oops, it's too late because I only get this during my lifetime. That's how that usually goes. Now, maybe he has a different theology than this because this is broad brush strokes that I'm painting with. Different people have different ideas of how this works. So this is not a choice. If this is how it is, this is not a choice because I can't decide on what God exists or doesn't exist because I have the equal amount of evidence for every single God. None. I have no evidence of God. Zero. Now, you might think I do, but I'm telling you, I don't. I don't know which God exists. I don't even know that God does exist. So that's it. Now, if God wants to judge me based on what I've done, cool. That's Zoroastrianism, though, not Christianity. Christianity judges me based on did I accept Jesus' sacrifice for my sins, and also maybe I have to believe that Jesus is God, and also et cetera, depending on which Christian denomination you go with, because there's extra steps in some, and others lack them. Who's right? I don't know. So again, better do them all just to be safe. And of course, you might not be safe because there's a passage in the Bible that says, many people will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, I've cast out demons in your name. I've done great things for you. And I will say, depart from me. I knew you not. So it's not guaranteed. You're not, no matter what, it's not guaranteed. But definitely if you don't believe in God, you're screwed. And you're screwed because you didn't accept the gift of salvation that's offered for everybody that you have to believe without any evidence that happened. And I don't believe that because I don't have evidence of it. So why would I? Well, because it might be true. Well, so can a lot of other things. I don't know. So it's a non-choice. I have no choice to make. So I'm going to go to hell because I wasn't actually given a choice. That's not celestial, comprehensible system of justice. That's just carrot and stick. That is, you get the reward if you do what I want, and if you don't, you get punished. That's an appeal to bribery and an appeal to force, an ad baculum. That's all that is, and all it's ever been. And a logical being would never offer that system, which is why, for the most part, the Judeo-Christian God does not exist in my mind. Well, it exists in my mind. Sorry. Let me modify that. It does not exist other than in my mind, because it's said to be logical, but yet it offers illogical ideas. No, that God doesn't exist then. Now, maybe he's going to present a different version of hell. I don't know. Oopsie, that's the wrong screen. Dang nabbit, I knew what I'm doing.
Then you go to heaven, or the place where God is. If you don't want to follow my moral law and you don't want to believe in me, then you go to the place where God is not, because
it's not a matter of what I want. I don't have a choice. Okay. Ryan, I am a lobster. Can you believe that I'm a lobster? Right now. Instantly and immediately. No? No. Right? Now, maybe, if you worked hard on it, over years, you could maybe convince yourself that I'm a lobster. If you really, really, really worked hard on it. Maybe. And if I promised that you'd get some sort of amazing thing for doing so, maybe you'd put in the time if you really believed that it was true. But you know what I haven't given you? Evidence. And in fact, hey, I was going to make that video. I forgot to make it. I'm going to make that video today. Okay. You all know what video I'm talking about, hopefully. Okay. I'll just make the video and I'll have that up. So I'll mention that there will be a video that I will want Ryan to watch called The Challenge. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. I don't know that God is offering me this non-choice here. So I don't have an informed decision. It's not that I want to not follow God. It's that I don't know that there's a God to follow or not in the first place. So I don't know. And because I don't know, then I'm not going to just try to believe something that I have no proof of.
Because God is a good, loving God. So he's not going to force you to be with him. That's kidnapping. It's not going
to... What did I do? Okay, here we go. All right. Okay. Okay. So, yes, God is kidnapping you, actually. Okay, so here's the scenario. Me, deconverted man Dan Green, I have a nice place that you can live. And I've constructed it with, there's the place with me, nice room, has nice furniture and food and all this nice, all this cool stuff. And I'm like, all right, Ryan, here's your choice. You can live with me with all the nice stuff, or you can live in the basement without any of the nice stuff. And you're like, well, what if I don't want to do any of that? Well, you can't go outside because I've locked all the doors. There is no exit. This is it. These are your two choices now. Also, by the way, I want you to sometimes worship me. Every now and then just say I'm an awesome guy. And maybe kiss my feet every now and again. That's the cost of living with me. Or you can live in the basement where there's very little to eat. You'll get by on whatever's down there, along with everyone else that's down there. Now, do you want to live with me? I'm obviously a loving guy. Or do you want to live in the basement? Your choice. Is it really a choice? No. Because it's good versus bad. It's really nice place or really bad place. That's not a free choice. It's an illusion of choice. Do you want to live with me in this nice place, or do you live over there without me, without all this nice stuff? Gee, no, it's not a real choice. That other place without me could be just as cool. Then it would be a real choice. You don't want to live with me? Fine, you don't have to live with me. You can live over here. It's just as good. The places are completely identical. The only difference is I'm in one place and I'm not in the other place. But other than that, they are identical. That would be a real choice. Not what you're describing.
Keep you hostage, right? So if you want to be with God, you got to follow these rules. And
also, you don't really have to follow the rules because you can break God's rules while you are alive, as long as you're like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I was wrong. I'm sorry, God. Forgive me. And then God's like, all right, do you really mean it? And of course, God knows that you meant it. All right, that's fine. Come on in, As long as you really, really are sorry, which only you and God would know. So the rapist, serial killing person that's really sorry. I'm sorry I did all that. And God's like, geez, do you really mean it? Yes. All right, come on in. Come on. It's fine. Come on in. And also, the person that he raped is already there in heaven. And they're like, oh, they're here too? Awkward.
And you can be where he's at when you die. If you don't believe in God and you don't want to follow his rules, then you go to the place where he is not after you die. And this is...
What if you do believe in God, but you don't want to follow God's rules? Where do you go then? What if you want to follow God's... What if you don't believe in God, but do want to follow God's rules? Or you don't believe in God, but do want to follow his rules? What happens then? Like, if you don't believe in one, but you do want to do the other, or you don't want to do the one, but you do the other, then what? Where does God put you? I don't know. Seems like there's some possibility of, like, what if, like, I want to follow almost all the rules? Like, I want to follow all but one rule. Like, I'm cool with all of those rules but one, and I believe in God. Do I get to be with God? Or is it because I didn't like that one rule I don't get to be with God? What if I kind of believe in God, but I want to follow only one rule and none of the other rules? How does this work again? I don't know. Whatever. Okay.
This is where objective and subjective morality tie back in. Objective morality is God's rules, right? You follow God's rules, period. It doesn't matter.
Well, which ones? There's 613 of them outlined in the Judeo-Christian Bible. So which ones do I follow? Also, then Jesus said none of those rules matter, but he also said that all of the rules matter. And depending on who you ask, because it does change, none of the rules matter, according to some. The only rule that matters is love your neighbor as yourself. Hey, I'm all for that rule. That sounds like a great rule. And it doesn't require death by stoning if I don't do it. All right, Jesus, I like that one rule. Get rid of all the other rules, including the 10 Commandments, because they're part of the 613 Commandments. Okay, great. So I don't have to worry about anything except love my neighbor as myself. Well, and also I have to believe in Jesus, that he died for my sins, and maybe it's God. Then I'm in, right? So I followed those two things and I'm good to go. Cool. So if I killed my neighbor, then obviously I killed my neighbor because that's what I wanted them to do to me. It's just I acted first. I wanted them to kill me, but they didn't kill me. So Jesus is like, what happened there? I'm like, well, I wanted them to kill me, and they didn't. I just wound up killing them first, and the cops showed up, and I'm like, I'm going to get you, and they killed me, and that's why I'm here. But I treated my neighbor like myself. I wanted my neighbor to kill me, and that's why I'm dead. And Jesus is like, No, that's not what I meant. Oh, what if I want my neighbor to have sex with me and my neighbor is a guy and I'm a guy, and since I want him to treat me that way, I go have sex with my neighbor, but then I have a heart attack and die, and I happen to believe in Jesus, and so I go up to heaven, and Jesus is like, what were you doing? I was like, I was just doing what you told me to do, treating my neighbor as myself. He's like, you were having gay sex. I said not to have gay sex. No, you said to love each other as yourself. I thought those other laws didn't matter. No, I also said those laws did matter. What if it turns out that I needed to follow all 613 laws? And I ate shellfish. And I wear mixed fabrics. And I went to work on Sabbath. When was Sabbath, by the way, Jesus? It was Friday evening, you moronic nitwit. It wasn't Sunday? No, it was Friday evening. The Jews had it right, you idiot. Oh, I guess I'm going to hell because I didn't follow your rules. I thought I did. Doesn't that count? Nope. Okay, yeah, makes sense. When you actually start to ask questions about how the system works, it falls apart rather quickly. But don't worry about it. If you follow God, then you get the good stuff, and if you don't, then you get the bad stuff, which isn't really a choice again, because obviously that's just nothing more than an appeal to a bribe and an ad baculum. So it's not a choice. Okay, cool.
No matter what your preference is, God knows better. He's the creator of everything. You follow what his rules are. If you do that, you go to heaven. If you don't want to do that, then you go to where God is not, because he's not going to force you to be somewhere and follow his rules if you don't.
But it is forcing you. That's what you don't get. That's what plenty of theists don't get, so it's really not that surprising. You are being forced. You are being coerced into it. You are being forced into it. You just don't realize it. God is holding a gun to all of our heads and saying, do it or else. And you're saying like, it's a free choice because I don't have to do it. Yeah, if if you're put into a scenario where the choice is good or bad, and the threat of force is there, you're probably going to choose the side that leads to hopeful good. Of course, you don't know that let's say you're in the middle of a bank robbery. You went to go to the bank, and all of a sudden this guy's like, everybody on the floor, and you're like, I don't want to be on the floor. And he hands the gun. He's like, look, I'm going to kill you if you don't lie on the floor. All right, go ahead, kill me then. And the bank robber's like, what? Yeah, go ahead. That's the only way you're going to get me to cooperate. I don't want to do it. Well, that wasn't a very good choice. I don't want to lie on the floor, but I'm going to do it because I want to live. Now, he might stay and be like, I don't like the looks of that guy. Bam! And kill me anyways. Because I can't trust him because he's not logical. I can't trust Yahweh because it's not logical. And everything you said here is nothing more than trying to justify an ad baculum, and it's not a real choice. So that's it. That's it. There's nothing more. I get it. I understand what you believe, but logically speaking, it doesn't work. A little bit more. Oh, so close to being done. We're at an hour. Do I want to finish this video? I guess so. I'll just let him talk. Whatever.
I want to. So you go to the place where God is not. Well, everybody in that situation that goes to the place where God is not believes in subjective morality, which is like survival of the fittest land. It means whatever I prefer is right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. It's whatever my preference is. So then if you sort those two groups, hell is not a terrible place that God created to torture people because they don't want to believe in him. Hell is just the place where everybody who doesn't want to follow God's laws goes and can do whatever they want, right?
So hell is just more earth. Okay. So I don't know how big it is or how, are there oceans there? Is there land there? how does it work? Like, where am I located physically? Because what you're describing is a physical location of some sort, but there's no time. So there's no when to do anything. I don't know. Is there, so me and B.S. Lewis were both in hell. Can we stand next to each other? Or, like, is there no place to stand on? Since we're all spirits, can we overlap and be at the same place at the same time? So me and B.S. Lewis actually are kind of like the same person in that moment until we move. How does hell work? How does the afterlife work, for that matter? Because if I can stand or be somewhere far away from B.S. Lewis or close to B.S. Lewis, like if he and I are friends, maybe we're friends for the first tens of thousands of years that we're down there, but maybe we had some stupid argument over, I don't know, whatever, bananas, whatever, I don't know. And he's like, look, it's fun to put a banana in your ear. And I'm like, no, it's fun to put a banana in your nose. And we just couldn't agree. And so we go our separate ways. Then, if we're able to do that, what's going to happen is society as a large is going to form into groups. And there's going to be groups of like, hey, we want to live this way. Let's go over here. And groups says, hey, I want to live this way. Go over here. And you're like, cool. Where's the group that wants to live where everybody's having sex all the time? That's over there. Okay, I'm going there first. And then if I get sick of it, then I can go somewhere else. But if we're all in the same place, like all mushed together, then I don't know how that works anymore. But then it does seem like God created a scenario where we're going to be miserable and it's God's fault at that point and not our fault. I don't know. Depends on how it works, which I don't really know because you didn't really explain it. So, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, if that's how it is, that's how it is. I can't do anything about it, though. However reality actually functions is how reality functions. For example, biological evolution is actually really real, whether you accept it or not, understand it or not, deny it or not, want it or not, etc. Still real, still is a thing. So if God is real, could be, and is going to put me into a place where there's just people like me, it's not going to be that bad of a place, actually. Unless God made it to be a bad place, and then we're going to rebel and try to overthrow God, which we won't be successful at because it's God, but we're going to keep trying until we succeed. And I'm going to make the lobster original deity so that we can eat God somehow, because why not? It's a pretend scenario, so I can do what I want. Anyways, back to the video.
Right? It's like the crazy place. It's where murderers and rapists and assault, people that assault and, people, criminals and gang members and all of these people that are opposed to God's law go to this place. So why is it terrible? Well, think about an apartment building. If you had an apartment building and the only people that were allowed to live in that apartment building were sexual offenders and sexual deviants, murderers, physically violent people, abusers, gang members, criminals, that whole group.
I've been to that place. I know where he's talking about.
Those are the only people that could live in that apartment. Do you think that apartment's going to be a nice place to live?
Can I lock my door and not interact with anybody else? It's an apartment, so I have a door.
Probably not. Like drug addicts and drug dealers, they're all in this one place.
Are there drugs in hell? Like, how would that work? I mean, if there's no drugs in hell, then there's nothing for the drug addict to be addicted to, and there's nothing for the drug dealer to deal. Also, murderer. So what? They can't kill me. I'm already fucking dead. So what are they gonna do? Nothing. There's nothing they can do. Sexual assault? So what? You can't assault me. I'm dead. I don't have a body anymore. There's nothing to assault. The only thing that you can do is just talk to each other. Oh, God, my ex-mother-in-law is going to be there. Oh, no! No! Actually, no. Wait, sorry. I forgot. My ex-mother-in-law, she's actually in charge of teaching Satan how to be evil. So, whew, I'm safe. Whew, had me scared for a moment there. I almost converted.
Okay, that place is not going to be good. And even worse, if you drill down into that, let's say you're a sexual deviant and you live in this apartment complex. Well, you're not physically violent, but you have some kind of perversion that you don't want to give up. There are murderers and gang members and abusive people in that apartment building. So anytime you leave your apartment room.
Yeah, but you're talking about here on Earth where that matters. After I'm dead, I don't have a body anymore. Unless I do, can they rape me in heaven? Or, sorry, well, can they rape me in hell? Do I have a body there? Also, when do they rape me? Since there's no time. I'm stuck on the time thing. I'm sorry. They can't do anything to me. I have no physical body. So, again, there's nothing that they can do. They might not be pleasant to talk to, but I don't have to talk to them. Do I have to listen to them? Actually, wait a minute. Since we don't have a physical body, we can't talk anyways. So, do we transmit our thoughts to each other? Can I block off thoughts? Do I get to sleep? Are we always awake? How does any of this work? I need specifics on how hell functions. But it does sound like an awful place to be that God has set up, knowing that it's going to be really bad. And you think that that's perfectly fine as a, not enough quotes in the universe, choice to give people, even though it's a non-choice for all the reasons I've already said. We're almost done. I'm going to fast forward through the rest of this so I can get done with it.
You're at risk, right? You're at risk. There's this hierarchy. It's this subjective moral hierarchy where whoever the strongest, toughest, baddest person is will be able to impose their will on everybody else. So you choose.
Well, that's what God is. It's the highest, greatest authority that opposes its will on everybody else and insists that it's good, even though it's evil and terrible. Sounds like heaven is hell.
Choose to go to this crazy apartment, not realizing that you're not the top dog anymore. And whoever the top dog is, even further, this place is the place where God is not. It's like if that apartment building didn't have any police or firefighters, right? What would the building be like? It would be on fire constantly. People would be kicking down your door and beating you up in your apartment room. It would be absolute chaos. It would be hell.
But there's no fire because there's nothing to burn. And they can't beat me up because I have no body. But also God set up this place knowing that it would be that way. So God is still evil for doing that. Okay.
This is what I wanted to clarify. God didn't make heaven for people that he likes and then hell for people that he doesn't like. No. Heaven.
No, it sounds like he did exactly that. God made it so that people that want to be with God are with God, that like God, and the people that don't like God or don't know that God exists or believed in a different God all go to the bad place that God also set up. Yeah, God's evil. Got it. Okay.
Is the place where God is, and it holds to God's moral law. So if you believe in God, then you follow.
God's moral law of what exactly? What is God's moral law? And does God enforce it so there is no free will? Okay.
Moral law, you get to be in heaven after you die, and it's this beautiful, wonderful place. But you have to give things up. There's probably no drinking, there's no drugs, there's no sex, there's no,
There's no sex? Well, fuck that. I'm going hell. If there's sex in hell and not in heaven, then heaven's boring as hell. But actually, there wouldn't be sex anywhere if you don't have a body. So
bullying or any kind of social hierarchy, it doesn't exist in heaven. You have to be good. That's the law. And then you get.
Okay, so you have no free will in heaven. Okay, sounds boring. So it sounds like I'd rather be in hell then. Okay, cool. So I'll keep being a skeptic. So the appeal to a threat and the appeal to bribe didn't work on me. Not just because it's not logical, but also because you made it seem more appealing to be in hell than heaven. Good job.
Get to be there with God, and God is the king, right? God rules. If you don't want to be there, God gives us free will. So he says, I'm not going to force you to be here, but you're not going to be in heaven like messing with all the other people because there's laws. So you go to the other place. It's not bad. Let's say it's just another place. But once you take that other place and you fill it with all of the murderers and the gang members and the criminals and the rapists and the abusers and the drug addicts and, you know, the people that are still addicted to alcoholism and all of these things, if you're not willing to give up your tendencies and make the effort to give up your tendencies, then you go to this place. And it's awful because it's like that crazy apartment building where all the crazy people live. It's not God didn't make it bad. It's bad because all the people that choose to live there are crazy and they don't want to follow God's law. They want to have subjective morality. Heaven is objective morality. Do what God says, period. Hell is subjective morality. Hey, you can't be here because you won't follow the law, so you go to this other place. But who else is there? All of the bad.
All right. So if that's the rest of this video, I'm done. Is it? I don't know. I'm guessing that it is. Let's just look at the transcript, see if we can cheat our way through this. Because I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over again. Just making sure. Okay. Just no, it's the same point more than once. So he kind of just says the same thing over and over again for the rest of his video. As such, I don't need to cover the rest of the video because I've already covered it. I don't need to say the same thing that I've already said over and over again. I get it. You made your point. You're explaining what you think heaven and hell is. You didn't really explain how you think they work or how you know any of this, but fine. Those are your belief systems. I don't believe in your belief system. I don't follow your belief system. I see your belief system as illogical and abhorrent. This is not celestial judgment. It's not fair. It's not a good system, but it is a fully constructed system made by a human, one human. You made that system up, Brian. Now you might think you have support in the Bible for it. Great, show it. Give me the verses. Now, I only care about that in the sense that I used to be a Christian. If you go on me for that, I'm going to eat you, I swear. But no, don't say, oh, you were never a Christian, because no, I will eat you. I'm not even joking. I've eaten people in the past. You don't want to be one of them. Don't try it. Okay, anyways. Sorry. What was I saying? Oh, right. Yeah. So I don't believe that is how things would work. But yeah, if you want to support these ideas, then show me the Bible verses that support them. Otherwise, within the Judeo-Christian system, you're a false prophet because you're saying things about God, but you're not using the Bible to support those things. And that only matters to other Christians. I don't care. But if you want to make your case in the theological sense, then show where all these things are said in the Bible. Like that's how hell is. Now, I already know you can't do that because I already know it's not in the Bible. But that's the point. You're extrapolating from what is in the Bible to lay out a scenario of what you think it would be like. But that's still you, not what the Bible says, which is what you base your beliefs on. But my point is, again, your beliefs are separate to what's written on the pages. The pages don't tell you everything there is to know about heaven or hell. They tell you very limited information. And then you have to construct ideas about those ideas that are separate from the Bible, separate from what God has told people to write down. So that's subjective. So congratulations, you've created subjective morality with extra steps. And I am almost certain that you'll get everything I said completely wrong if you respond to this video. But oh well, whatever. I don't know. Maybe you will. As far as going to heaven or hell, and all that, I do have a relevant clip to summarize all of this that I will play that will get this video restricted in several countries. So here we go.
And as for my American friend, the CIA thinks it can infiltrate the mountain of Dr. Crud.
You can't scare me, you slant-eyed yellow bastard.
Take him to Detroit.
No! No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything but that! No!
There are places worse than hell. Why is there a heaven and or hell in the Bible? Somebody came up with these ideas. And I suspect they came up with them to lure people into belief and to keep them believing. The fear of a punishment that you will get is a great fear to have. That is to say, it can compel you to do or not do many things. But of course, I can test if it's true. Unless you put that behind a wall which nobody can test. In this case, the wall of death. What happens after you die to you? It's nothing you can test. You don't know. So it's all what you believe. Now, I'm a skeptic. So I try to only agree with what data there is. On the topic of mortality, this coil that we are upon, I don't know what happens to me when I am dead, if anything at all. The data seems to suggest nothing is the answer. That is to say, the me that I am isn't anymore. And I've kind of experienced it, but also I haven't. It's very weird. I've had a couple of surgeries. Well, I've had one surgery, sorry. A long time ago, I had I don't know if you can see the scar, but I had a minor surgery done there. There was like a little bone fragment, and they removed it, but they put me under to do so. I don't know if they needed to put me under, but they did. So I counted backwards from 99, and then I got to 98 or 7. And then, boom, I was in a new room, and I'm like, I'm hungry. And I ate food, and I threw up, and I felt better, and I was like, I ate more food. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm good to go. Let's go, And I didn't experience anything. So I was in the operating room, and then I wasn't. Then I had a procedure called a colonoscopy. They look in your butt. And to do that, they put you under. So this time, because that was like a few months, last year, sometime, whatever it was. I was like, okay, I want to focus on what's happening so that I can experience this. And so I'm talking to the gal that's like, she's like, that's the anesthetist. And she's like, are you feeling sleepy yet? I'm like, no. And I'm like, am I supposed to count backwards? And she's like, yeah, count backwards. You're not going to hit like 87. And I'm like 100, 99, 98. And I'm like, I don't want to count. And in my head, I'm saying, I don't want to count. And then I look up at the ceiling and I'm like, all of a sudden in my brain, it felt like there was fizzy soda carbonation filling my head. Like, if you put your hand to sleep and how it tingles afterwards. But it felt good. Didn't feel bad. It felt really good. And I'm like, that's an interesting sensation. And that was the last thought that I had was, it's an interesting sensation. And then she was like calling my name. I was like, are you awake? Yeah, wake up. And I'm like, what? She's like, it's done. And I was like, great, I'm hungry. Time to eat. Can I get out of here so I can eat? Because I had to starve myself before the procedure. So I just wanted food. And then we got food and I ate a bunch of food. So there was no me between the moment I said, that's an interesting experience to waking up, that I was not there. So if that experience had lasted longer, I would have not been there for it. And if that's what death is, I won't even know that I'm dead. I won't even know that I don't know anything because I won't be there. And because I'm not there now, I don't like the idea of that. I don't like the idea of not being because I am now. But I don't know what it is to not be because I wasn't it. I didn't experience it because there wasn't a me to experience. That's a bizarre thing. And a calming thing in one way because it's like, that's not that bad. If that's what death is, that's not that bad. But also, there's nothing there. And I don't like that there's nothing. I'm used to being me. I'm used to existing. So I'm not too happy about that being the outcome. But I don't know for sure that that's the outcome because I'm a skeptic. It just seems like that's where the data suggests. And I'm like, well, but maybe. But probably I do that well, but maybe because of my feelings and not because of logic. And I fully admit that in the case of morality, I'd rather say, I don't know, than to say, well, no, we're just dead and that's it. Because I don't like it. But it could be true. So I'm trying to be a better skeptic and accept morality or mortality, whatever mortality might be, but I need more data on it. What about people that have had near-death experiences, Deconverted Man? Those people have not had near-death experiences in that it's not been duplicated in any controlled way, and every single time it's somebody's personal view of what the afterlife will be, and also we can recreate it without dying. So I don't think that counts. And the data on it is very spotty at best, and what metadata studies I've looked into have pretty much concluded that anytime it's come up, it's been done very poorly. So yeah, I'm not convinced by them. If there was a singular afterlife, then everybody would always experience it. But the other problem is we're not getting the reports of all the people that near died and had zero experience, which are plenty of people. So why do some people experience an afterlife near death, but others don't? Probably because it's just something that the mind is doing when it is starved of oxygen. So it doesn't prove anything. Now, I've seen movies on the topic of death. And one of them, I don't remember its name now, but one of them, the scientists proved that after you die, you actually are reborn as yourself, but in a different universe. So you get to do everything over again. But it's unclear whether you know what will happen or not. So in that movie, a bunch of people are killing themselves because they want a second chance. And they know there's an afterlife now because it's been proven. And I'm like, yeah, that would probably happen if we knew for sure there was an afterlife. Why would we stay here a second longer? If we absolutely 100% knew that the next life was better than this life, why would you stay here at all? The typical theist response for that is that God has a plan for you, that God wants you to do stuff here and now. Why? Why does God need anything? God's God. God, there's nothing I could do that God couldn't do. Period. God does not need me to do a diddly squat. I think that the way to live is for each other, each human out there. For you guys and girls and robots that are listening to my voice, I'm here for you. And hopefully you're here for me. And we're here for each other because we're all we've got. Just us humans. Helping each other, loving each other as much as we can, for as long as we can, to as many as we can, because we have a limited time on this earth, and then we're gone. That sucks, but that's how it is. And we'll probably come back as some particles of some sun or whatever, and I don't know that we'll know anything about that, but that's kind of cool. I'll just be part of the universe again, like I was before I existed. Neat. I don't know what that's like, but oh well, whatever. I'm not in any hurry to find out either. But I'm going to try to make this place a little bit better. And part of that is my effort in encouraging people to learn informal logic. So please do that if you haven't done it yet. And even if you have done it, hey, brush up again. Doesn't hurt to relearn it and to re-study it. Also, hopefully I can bring a smile to your face a tear to your eye and or produce other emotions in you, because that's a good thing to do. Hopefully, maybe. Hopefully I've made you think. I don't know. Maybe not. But I enjoy you, and hopefully you enjoy me, and we enjoy each other and enrich each other's lives in some way, shape, or form. And it might be a very little thing, or it might be a great deal of a thing. That's what I think that we must do as humans, because, well, it's all we got. I could be wrong, but I need evidence to show me that I'm wrong. It's not enough to give me an argument unless the argument was valid and sound. The problem with that is, in order to construct a valid and sound argument, hey, you need to know informal logic, so get learning. Until then, as far as this video goes, we didn't have any empirical evidence, repeatable tests, and we didn't have a sound argument. Actually, we had a lot of bad logic and a lot of just belief, and that's fine. That's what the video was about. But because of that, we have to be skeptical of the conclusion. Wait, there's chat going on. Shouldn't I supposed to be reading chat? No, I'm not going to read chat this time. That's it. I'm done. Whee! Hold on. Hold on. I've banned the word DMT on my channel. I'm not even kidding. I hate this drug. It comes up. People go, DMT, you'll see God. You'll see. And I got sick of it. So I banned that word. Like, not even joking. Like, I told YouTube to remove that off of comments automatically for me. It doesn't always do it, but I want you guys and girls and robots to absolutely know, without a doubt, if you mention DMT in the comments, no matter who you are, I am not fucking joking, you will be banned, period. End of story. You will not get restored. Don't email me like I was joking. No, I'm not kidding. I hate drug pushers. It's a drug. Yeah, you're going to trip out and go crazy on a drug that's supposed to affect your brain. Duh. But also, I'll refer you to Michael Schimmer, who is the lead, or was the lead editor of Skeptic Magazine. He took the damn thing. He still is a skeptic. So it doesn't work on everyone. It doesn't actually transport you somewhere. It's just message with your brain. That's it. And I'm not going to have people promote that fucking drug on my channel. Because fuck messing with your brain. Leave it alone. Unless you are prescribed medication, and maybe one day we'll prescribe DMT in some dose, but that's not happening today. And if you want to debate that shit, go somewhere else. Not happening here. I'm not kidding. Hate to end a video in that way, but I draw the line. All right. Now, to try to end it a silly, stupid way so that I can feel better about myself. Okay, I feel a little bit better. Until next time, be skeptical. And after next time, keep being skeptical of the conclusions. Now I can end.